So after this social media video received over 44,000 views as of today, I thought, you know what, maybe there's a little bit of interest in it. So let's put out a YouTube video explaining a little bit more about lead hand positioning. Firstly, if you're new to the channel, I'd like to welcome you. I'm Dave, and I love to bring you boxing tips, tricks, and tutorials. So if you like the sound of that and don't want to miss the next video we put out, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell next to it, and you'll get notified every time we post a video. Right, okay, let's jump into today's tutorial, which is all about that lead hand positioning. Okay, so it's important before we get too far into this tutorial to actually all be singing off the same song sheet in terms of what is lead hand and what is lead hand positioning. So if you are a orthodox boxer and you set up in your boxing stance, your lead hand is pretty self-explanatory, the hand that's at the front of your stance, all right? It's leading the stance, it's your lead hand. So that'll be your left hand if you're orthodox. And if you're southpaw, your lead hand positioning, is again the hand that's at front of your stance is your right hand. So I'm going to be doing everything in orthodox. So I'll be talking about my left hand, so my left hand will be my lead hand. Likewise, if you're a southpaw, all the same principles apply. It's just going to be your right hand. Next is, what do we mean by positioning? So a lead hand position in an ideal world. Now this is, if you're just starting out or you only had a couple of bouts, we're going to show you the best place to put your lead hand. If you're 30 bouts in and you find you've got a comfortable lead hand and it's different to what we say, that's fine. You've got the experience that tells you, you know where your lead hand is. There's obviously other things you're doing, which we'll talk about a bit later on, but that's fine. So this really, I suppose, is for more early learners, novice boxers, and it will help them get hit less. So as you saw from the video that I'll post on the social media channels, please go check them out on Instagram or also on TikTok. You saw that one of my boxers had, actually both hands were a little low, but in this case her lead hand was low. Now low position, so this is where we want it. Anything really down at the chin is low. So I know a lot of time the boxers believe that they're here and that's a good lead hand, but actually you can probably see from there it's beneath my chin. So here we go, this is a low lead hand position, all right? Obviously you've got the real extremes where it's down here, but sometimes you'll have boxers like sit here and they believe their lead hand's in a good place, it's up, but actually that's still a low lead hand position. So like I said, as you saw from that clip, my boxer had her hand about here, and if you've got your lead hand down, again we're going to talk about this later, there's got to be other things that are working to make sure that you are still a hard to hit target. In this case, her feet were pretty static, she was going back in a straight line, lead hand down, and her sparring partner who had controlled the distance well and caught her with her backhand. To my boxer's credit, the one that got hit, she did then come off the centre line and stopped any further attacks, but she could have controlled the distance better, had a lead hand up. Now if your lead hand up and a punch just come in and it's collected with your glove first, that doesn't score, it's not a point. If your lead hand's down and it connects with the target area, in this case the head, you score and lose that point, as it were. It's an effective punch, isn't it? So just catching it on the glove. So straight away, lead hand up makes things harder for your opponent to score and easier for you to defend if nothing else is working. So we've kind of touched on dangers there. So the danger of a low lead hand is everything that's acceptable to come over the top of that. There's no barrier, there's no defense, there's no shield, there's no guard. So I can pop shots off and it's a good chance if I've controlled the distance, I'm going to be able to get my shot across and land it on the target area before you've had a chance to see it coming and correct it. If we're here automatically, if we're in this good strong stance automatically, your shot has still got to somehow get over, around, penetrate this, all right? So that's the main danger of a low lead hand position. We can make things even worse. Let's say it's orthodox, right-hander against right-hander. Now, as an orthodox boxer, we feel more comfortable going to our left. So we're here. All right, that's a lot more comfortable than stepping off to our right. So you find that a lot of orthodox boxers will kind of work around this way. The problem with that is if you're boxing another orthodox boxer, you're actually going towards their rear hand, which is straight away a problem, and you're doubling the problem for yourself if you're moving to your left with a low lead hand. Now you're moving towards their backhand, boom, with your shields down. So another reason why we need to be thinking really a lot of the time getting this lead hand up. So they're the two dangers of being caught really. Drifting into a backhand, even if you come back in a straight line, which is just susceptible to so many shots. if our opponent is controlling the distance well. We need to be, especially as early learners, as novices, we need to be keeping our lead hand up. Don't get me wrong, you can have 40 bouts and still be in that position, that's great, but you might have also figured out something a little bit different that works for you, and that is also absolutely fine. Early learners, stick to lead hand positioning being high, making sure we're almost looking over the top of it, and that is above the height of our chin. How do we go from a good strong stance to a poor lead hand position? The more often cause of it is after punching. So we'll throw the jab, so we're in a nice position here, lead hand's great, then we'll throw the jab, pop, and then suddenly our brain told us this is where it started from, and it's low, okay? And you think that might look extreme, that is probably not extreme. Extreme's normally this, bam, bam. And that's exactly what early learners do. They'll go, I've got to keep my lead hand up, boom, drop, up. In that drop part is when you'll be hit a lot. So you go in, boom, and then drop it, and then on the way out you get caught. But after any kind of attack from one punch upwards, that's when we lose control of our lead hand positioning. And then if we don't correct it in time, we'll either get caught as we punch, or if we don't correct it in time, we get caught on the way out on our exit, especially if we go back in straight lines. So that's normally when we get caught, or the in-between times when neither of us are punching, we may be throwing some little triggers, some little feints, and then suddenly we're down here again. So we haven't returned back to our strong stance position, we've actually returned the lead hand down here. So rather than necessarily this way, so we're down here. So where we want to be is here, we're throwing some little feints, little triggers, and then rather bringing it back to back home, we're dropping it. So they're the two times when the last point, I suppose, is if we do have a low lead hand, and please do not start your sparring and start your competing with a low lead hand. Let's learn a box and use good fundamentals, and then as you go through your journey and as you have more bouts and you get more experience, then maybe play a little bit with that low lead hand. But please start with that good stance guard. Finishing then, because I know you'll come back to me and say such and such, they do it, yeah, great. But what you'll find, and what our boxer didn't do, is, yeah, okay, if their lead hand's low, they'll control the distance very well. Controlling distance means they know exactly where they are. They know they're on the edge of range and they can't be hit. That's one thing that they'll do very well. Either or, they'll have great head movement. So they might pop a shot, but then straight away, their head's moving. Straight away, their head's moving, boom. So actually, it counteracts the fact their lead hand's down because they're actually slipping, they're moving off the centre line. That works well. Lastly, they'll use their feet to take them off the centre line. So they might pop a shot, drop, but on their exit, boom, they've stepped across. So you've gone boom, boom. So lead hand's down, but they're off the centre line away from danger to their right. So if their lead hand's down, stepping to their right's okay. If they boom and then step to the left with the lead hand down to pivot maybe, that's a dangerous move. A lead hand down, stepping towards the rear hand of an orthodox boxer. So can it work for the more experienced boxers? It can. We would never say to do it. But if they started playing with it and it was working, fine, that's them developing their style. Novice boxers, early learners, we need to learn to box with good fundamentals, tuck them elbows in, making sure that our lead hand's in a good position. Obviously, our rear hand's in a good position, but our lead hand is in a good position before we attack. It's in a good position while we execute the attack, and it's in a good position when we exit the attack. Okay team, that's the end of our lead hand positioning tutorial. Hope you got something from it. If you did, please smash that thumbs up button because that helps us spread the love across YouTube. And why not subscribe to our channel? We're going to keep bringing out loads of videos like this. We kind of mix up the tutorials, like I say. We'll have a few combinations, some pads, all sorts of good stuff. If you like that, again, please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell next to it. Don't go anywhere though, because YouTube is right now telling you 2 more videos that you're going to love. Why not? Grab one of them and keep learning.